Hi booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. This is my husband Jason of Old Blues Chapter and Verse. And we are two of the three hosts of Shakespeare 2025. So Jason and I did something similar to what we're about to do. Last year we watched 4 adaptations of Hamlet. I will link to that video down below. But this year we chose to watch 4 versions of King Lear. So we watched the 1998 adaptation of King Lear starring Ian Holm. We watched the 2009 adaptation of King Lear starring Ian McKellan. We also watched the 2018 adaptation of King Lear starring Anthony Hopkins. And then we watched, help me out here, Akira Kurosawa's retelling of King Lear in Ran. Now, because this one is so different than the other King Lears, we're not going to compare characters from this. We're going to do a separate conversation about Ran at the end of this video. So we'll start off with the other 3, and what we do is we pick characters in advance, and Jason and I decide who we think gave the best performance.
As those characters.
As those characters, yeah. Yes. Okay. If you're not familiar with King Lear, let me just give you like a brief summary here. You don't have to have read King Lear to watch this video. Lear, King of Britain, has 3 daughters, Goneril, Regan, and Cordelia. Intending to divide his kingdom among his daughters according to their affection for him, he asks them to say which loves him most. Goneril and Regan profess their extreme affection, and each receives 1/3 of the kingdom. Cordelia, disgusted with their hollow flattery, says she loves him according to her duty. And she actually says nothing, nothing comes, nothing. Infuriated with this reply, Lear divides her portion between Goneril and Regan. Eventually, the 2 daughters reveal their true heartlessness, and a tragic chain of events are set into motion. And I think, watching these films has really given me an appreciation for actually reading King Lear. Lots of times in Shakespeare, there's an argument like Shakespeare is meant to be seen, it's meant to be seen on the stage, or, it's meant to be performed. But when you read a play, especially one like King Lear or Hamlet, that is just, it feels like an explosion of language. I think like when you read it, you can read it at your own pace. Whereas when you're watching these adaptations, people are talking very, very fast sometimes, and it's hard. If you don't know the story, it can be hard to know what's going on. So anyway, all right, Jason, you ready to do this?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So the first one is Kent, who is a friend to King Lear.
So you want to know who my favorite Kent
is? All right,
is?
so who is your favorite Kent?
Okay, so just to reiterate, we're leaving Ran for the end. That's going to be a separate discussion. So we're just going to look at the performances across the 3 language or films or film stage productions that use Shakespeare's actual language.
Yes.
Okay. So my favorite Kent was David Burke in the version with Ian Holm, directed by Richard Eyre, who also directed, it should be noted, the Anthony Hopkins version. Richard Eyre directed 2 of these 3 films that we're talking about.
The other one is directed by Trevor Nunn. Okay, so I have to say, I thought all 3 Kents were really good.
Yes, all 3 Kents were good.
They were excellent performances. I just was mainly struck by the one in the Ian McKellan version, which is Jonathan Hyde. Like, there was just something about him.
Yeah. No,
Go ahead.
No, go on. I was just gonna say no. I liked his performance a lot too. He appears in disguise for the first time, and he's put the accent on and everything. He's also declaiming his lines a lot more, and that took me a little while to get used to. It felt more. It felt like more artifice, I suppose, than it should have. But I did get used to it. I mean, he was really just rolling his R's and doing the whole.
Felt like he had like such presence.
Well, yeah, he did. His voice gave him that.
All right, okay.
But I liked the Kent that I did the most because I felt like it was a pretty naturalistic performance, and I felt like when he sort of puts on the disguise and is operating disguised, I felt in this one I felt more like
which one?
The Ian Holm.
Yeah. So you can just say this one though. You need to.
Well, the one that I chose, David Burke.
Yes. Okay.
I felt like his actions were really motivated by affection for Lear and by love of Lear. I felt that more.
Yeah. But across the board, like all three of them did a good job. Did a really, really great performances.
Yeah.
Okay. The Fool.
Okay. All right, my choice for the Fool was Michael Bryant.
Oh my god!
Also in the version with Ian Holm as Lear.
Why?
Why?
I mean, they again, like all these people were amazing.
I thought, all the fools were good. This Fool, again, it felt like the performance felt so natural. It's the only one where I felt like the actor had kind of become the character, like he was the fool, like he was a fool. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like an actor playing a part, and it's the only one of the three where the fool made me laugh a couple of times. Mm. And when the fool delivers that line to Lear, lamenting that Lear has grown old, irrevocably old, before he had become wise. The guy who plays the fool in this version with Ian Holm, his delivery of that line, it brought tears to my eyes. It choked me up.
Well, I picked Sylvester McCoy from the Ian McKellan version. Okay. Because I felt like he had more to work with. This is the only one of the three that we watched that are Shakespeare's that they actually do the scene where they hang the fool. So this is the only one we watched where that actor was given the ability to do that, and you see it.
In the version with Anthony Hopkins, the fool seems to die of a heart attack.
Seems to die on an ambulance. It's a more modern.
Yeah, from just the trauma of being out in the weather and such. Right. And then in the version with Ian Holm, it's completely off camera, off stage, so to speak. Mm-hmm. We know the fool has died only because Lear shows up with the fool's hat on. Mm-hmm. And so we're left to infer that the fool has died. So that was very interesting to see how different productions tackle the death of the fool.
So Edgar is a good guy.
Yeah, Edgar and Edmund are brothers. Edgar's a good guy. Edmund is just a weasel.
Edmund is one of the villains. Yeah, one of many villains.
He's kind of an Iago kind of figure. So my favorite Edgar was, I'm going to butcher the name, Ben Miges, in the version with Ian McKellan, the Trevor Nunn one.
Okay. So I had a really hard time with this one. Okay. Because I thought all three were great.
Interesting.
I really did. I really thought, but again, like it's like some of them are given more to work with than others. So I'm in a toss up between the 2018 one where Edgar is played by Andrew Scott, and the Ian Holm, like we're like complete opposites.
Yeah, we are.
And the Ian Holm one with
Is it Paul Reese?
Paul Reese, plays Edgar. But again, like all like it's just like
You have to
tiny.
choose.
What? Why? Why
have to
do
choose.
I have to choose?
This is because we're voting. You can't like divide your vote down the middle.
Okay, I'm gonna go with this one then.
Paul Reese. Okay.
Paul Reese, yeah. So
I was coin tossing between Paul Reese and Ben Myges.
and Benjamin, yeah. I think again, they all do a good job. They're just given Andrew Scott. I mean, if he had been given more to work with. I'm not saying that I'm picking him.
No.
I'm just saying
do your thing, man.
that he was great. He was so great. I just don't feel like he was given as much to kind of work with.
Okay, I did not like Andrew Scott as Edgar. I didn't like his performance as Edgar. Now I did like how in that Anthony Hopkins version how Edgar was presented as a kind of astronomer / mathematician studying the eclipse, like in his little in his room.
And there's like an eclipse on the TV.
That all was super. That was super cool.
Yeah.
But I usually like Andrew Scott, but I did not like him in this role. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was really hoping you didn't choose Andrew Scott.
I didn't choose Andrew Scott.
I know you didn't. You almost did.
Forced me.
You were on the knife edge.
All right.
But
okay.
So Ben Myges, so I haven't said anything about why I like him as Edgar.
So sorry.
No, it's fine. I don't know. I think I was struck mostly by the first scene in the film. I think he sort of walks on the stage reading a book, and Edmund. So he's presented from the outset as just a kind of bookish everyman.
Doesn't he have glasses?
I think he's got glasses at the beginning. He's kind of a nerd, and I loved how he was presented in that way because it made Gloucester, their father, going along with this idea of Edmund's that Edgar is trying to usurp him or kill him or something like this. It made it seem even more ridiculous, which I think. Yeah, which I think is important. It should never feel plausible that Edgar's going to do this. I think that making it seem ridiculous goes some distance toward showing how easily people can be taken in by other people looking to manipulate them.
And I feel like in the Ian Holm and the Ian McKellan one, Edgar is when he becomes this mad character, Mad Tom, and I felt like they both took it.
Poor Tom.
Oh, poor Tom. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's
okay.
fine.
So Edgar becomes poor Tom in the play, and I felt like the Ian Holm and the Ian McKellan one, those actors took that to another level that Andrew Scott did not.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Edmund.
Okay, Edmund. The evil brother. So the Edmund that I chose is Finbar Lynch in the version, the Richard Eyre version with Ian Holm.
Oh, Jason.
That's the Edmund that I chose.
Why?
And I frankly can't believe you didn't. So no, who did you choose? Tell me.
I chose Philip Winchester from the Ian McKellen adaptation. I thought he, by far and away, he had more to work with as an actor, and I felt like he pulled the wickedness off so well. I thought the one, and I know we're not, the guy who plays Edmund in the Anthony Hopkins adaptation, I thought he was so far below, he was, and that cast is insane for the Anthony Hopkins version of King Lear, and they needed somebody who,
he just didn't register.
He did not.
It was a really flat performance.
Yes, it was totally flat, and just, I just felt like it was ridiculous.
So the letterboxd reviews of this Ian McKellen King Lear, where you chose the Edmund there, and the actor. What's the actor's name?
His name is Philip Winchester.
Okay. The letterbox reviews are hilarious because there are all kinds of people like, why is Edmund so hot? So it's like, I would be taken in by Edmund too, or whatever.
Although I feel like all of the Edgars become better looking at the end.
Edgar or Edmund?
Edgar.
Edgar?
Yeah.
We're talking about Edmund.
I know we're talking about Edmund, but I'm just saying, if Edmund is a hottie throughout.
Well, maybe Edgar becomes better looking by the end because so he's had a fight with his brother, a duel or whatever. There's something sexy about that. I like the Edmund Finbar Lynch. I like the Edmund in the Ian Holm version, mainly because I was really impressed with when he would be speaking to the actor playing his father, Gloucester, and as soon as the actor playing it, as soon as Edmund's back was to a character, right, and he's looking at us, as soon as his back. When he's talking to a character, his face is telling one story. And when his back was to that character and he's looking at us, or not even looking at us, but his face is telling a completely different story.
But I
thought that was impressive.
I thought in the Ian McKellen one, they did a great job of giving Edmund kind of voiceover, so that we could hear those inner thoughts, deceptions. Yeah. But Philip Winchester, he is. It's believable that the two older sisters could go after him. I think in that one more than.
Well, yeah, he's got the sort of floppy yellow hair, floppy blonde hair.
I feel like from the get-go, from the very beginning, he is wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I didn't necessarily.
Yeah. Edmund he's been waiting for this opportunity for a long time.
The moment has come for him to work out his plans. Yep. Okay. All right. The evil older sisters, Regan and Goneril.
Right. And so we're going to look at them as the actresses kind of as a pair. Because they're like a matched set. They're like a matched set of horrible women.
They are. They are.
Yeah. All right. So I chose Emily Watson and Emma Thompson from the version with Anthony Hopkins.
They were very good. They were very, very good. I think...
Oh, she's on a knife edge again.
I am! Because honestly, these... you could watch any of these adaptations and the acting is very good. This one, I will save my thoughts for the Ian Holm one until the end. But okay, so I went with the ones, I went against my, it's really only because of one scene. So I went with the Ian McKellen actresses who play Regan and Goneril. It's Monica Dolan and Frances Barber. And there's a scene where Goneril poisons her sister. Mm-hmm. And none of the other films show that happening. This is the only one where we actually get to see it.
I think it's good that we don't see it in the other ones.
No, I thought it was.
It's done too obviously in this, but
anyway. But I mean, I really do want to say, like, oh my God. Emily Watson and Emma Thompson as the two older sisters, like, what, and they're, like, Emma Thompson, man, she was just so great. That line where, like, she's kind of onto the fact that Edmund's playing, like, both of them, and she figures it out, and she's about to leave the room, and her sister is, like, telling her, like, come, sister, like, come with us. It's better that you come with us. And she wants to stay with Edmund. And finally, as she's about to leave, Emma Thompson's character looks at Edmund, the flat Edmund, and says, "Oh, I know the riddle," which is such a great line. And it wasn't. I don't remember it in the other two. So I thought their performances were great, but I really believed the I don't know, the evil power was, like, ramped up a bit for me in the Ian McKellan one.
So it's interesting because one of the reasons why I liked Emily Watson and Emma Thompson as the evil sisters in the version with Anthony Hopkins is because the scene where they are trying to tell Lear that he doesn't need all those knights. He doesn't need 100. He doesn't even need 50. Doesn't even need 25. Like, why do you even need 10 or 5?
Right. Why do you need 1?
So that scene in the other King Lears that we watched, and I suspect in most productions, that scene is it's really, like, the villainy of it is really played up. But I felt like Emma Thompson as Goneril in that scene, I felt like she brought a lot of complication to her character because, and here's what I wrote in my notes. I said, Emma Thompson impressed me as Goneril in the scene where the two sisters are trying to persuade Lear to leave off his knights. She seems motivated by affection in the scene. By a desire for him to abandon pomp and circumstance in his age and allow himself to be looked after by a household staff appointed to his needs and wants, whereas it's usually played in the spirit of villainy. And I think the fact that and maybe it's just like her affection for Anthony Hopkins in real life kind of coming through. No, seriously, they played a married couple in Howard's End, and they were a romantic couple, sort of, in The Remains of the Day, which is, I mean, one of the greatest films ever made.
It's true.
But, so maybe that was part of it, but I really felt like that scene more than any other in all 3 films. I felt like I actually felt love from one of those older sisters for Lear.
And if we had separated them out, I probably would have picked Emma Thompson because of one of the things is that, yes, are the sisters heartless and evil and, scheming? Yes, they definitely are. Lear's idea that, like, dividing his kingdom before his death will, reduce strife is ironic, right? Because it only ramps everything up. But the scene where Lear tells Goneril, like, he just like verbally attacks her and, like, essentially says, like, he hopes that she's sterile and that she's never gonna have a child. And it is, it is so powerful, and it is delivered by all 3 of the Lears with just so much menace, and Goneril in at least 2 of the 3 productions is, like, crying, or trying, like, they're all trying to, like, hide their emotion, but, like, Emma Thompson's just, she was devastated, and it was a really powerful thing. But we decided to keep the two evil sisters together, and I really liked the fact that we're able to see on the stage, or on the small screen, as it were, that Goneril's poisoning her sister. So
all right, what next?
All right, Cordelia.
Cordelia. Alrighty.
Oh my god.
So for Cordelia, my favorite
Okay.
was Florence Pugh in the version with Anthony Hopkins.
I can't believe this, but I am going to agree with you.
Oh, very cool.
And the reason why I picked Florence Pugh is because the Anthony Hopkins King Lear is a modern.
It's a true film. These two are more kind of film stage productions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a film, and you can do things in a movie that you can't do when you're filming a stage production, right? But so one of the things that I've read a lot about people struggling with the idea of Cordelia leading this army instead of the King of France, right? Like Cordelia is leading the military part of it, and I really loved when in the Anthony Hopkins one, we see Florence Pugh as and she's wearing military fatigues,
Mm-hmm.
and I just loved that. I did love the modernness of the Anthony Hopkins one. I felt like it was just stripped down too much. I felt like too much was taken away from that whole production. I wish, my answers would be very different if they had stretched it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I found it more believable to see a modern woman wearing military fatigues and ready to go into battle than, and in the Ian McKellan one, Romola Garai is Cordelia, and, she sort of shows up to go to battle in a dress, and in the Ian Holm one, there's kind of this sort of Joan of Arc scene.
Yeah, which is cool.
It is cool,
yeah.
But it's very brief, and it's basically her wearing kind of armor, and there's a whole bunch of candles in front of her, and she's, praying probably. But then the next time we see her, she's wearing a dress again, So we don't ever. It's hard to imagine Cordelia, leading an army. But in the Anthony Hopkins one, I totally bought it.
So I chose Florence Pugh. I don't always like Florence Pugh.
Yeah, I know.
I don't always like her, but when I do like her, I really like her. And I liked her from the very beginning in the Anthony Hopkins film. And the thing I first noticed that impressed me was when her two sisters, Regan and Goneril, are taking turns and they're just flattering the hell out of Lear, out of their father. We have reaction shots. Richard Eyre gives us reaction shots of Cordelia's face as these two are just spouting all of this just trying to butter him up, and she's disgusted by what they're doing. We can see it in her face that she's disgusted by what her sisters are doing, and so I thought that was cool. But then the thing, man, that got me and it's true of the version with Ian McKellan, and it's true of the version with Anthony Hopkins, and I suspect it's true of most productions. I was surprised it didn't do this to me in the Ian Holm version, but the scene near the end where Lear recognizes Cordelia when she's just like, do you know who I am, etc., etc. And at first he doesn't, right? And in his kind of, his
kind of waking up, and
his shuffling mind, he has to he arrives at it eventually, who she is, and I think of it as the recognition scene, and yeah, it made me cry. And when Anthony Hopkins recognizes her, and her performance in that moment, his performance in that moment, and also McKellan and Ramala Garai's performances in the other version in that moment, just like waterworks. Not quite like when I watched Little Women or something, the '94 Little Women, not the one with Florence Pugh. But I think that scene is so. So from the beginning, when we watched the Ian McKellen one, which is the one we watched first, I was just struck. I haven't read Lear in at least a few years, and that version and the Anthony Hopkins one did this as well. Just they reminded me of just how tender those recognition scenes are, and also the scene. Or the reunion scene. So when Gloucester and Edgar are reunited,
Right.
Those scenes there's just a real tenderness to them. Right, they're very precious, and and they're just done incredibly well. Florence Pugh and Anthony Hopkins in that scene together, I was just like, chef's kiss. This is good stuff. So anyway, that's why I chose Florence Pugh.
And bringing up, we didn't talk about Gloucester, who is Edgar and Edmund's father.
Yes.
And has, is it Regan and her husband? Yeah.
Yeah, Regan and Cornwall.
They take out his eyes. And so Edgar, as poor Tom, says he'll take him to Dover, where, Francis is coming, and they're gonna, try to be reunited with Lear.
Well, Gloucester wants to throw himself off the cliff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, anyway, you said you picked a Gloucester.
I did pick a Gloucester.
Okay.
Yeah. So but I didn't really take notes or anything on, why I preferred, because from the beginning we had kind of decided not to look that closely at the Gloucester performances, but then as we went on, it was like, we should have thought about Gloucester. But I preferred the Gloucester in the version with Ian McKellen. From the beginning, I was like, man, this guy's performance is really good. From the scene where he's introducing Edmund to Kent, and I thought this guy's performance is really great.
Oh my God. I preferred the Gloucester from the Ian Holm one. And in part, one particular scene, so it's a battle, and Edgar kind of digs this hole in the sand and puts his father in it, and his father's blind, of course, and he's got this bloody bandage on, and it zooms in on his face during the battle. So we don't have to see the battle. We see him, and he's hearing all this stuff, wondering, what is the outcome going to be, what's going to happen there. I honestly, though, I mean, again, the Anthony Hopkins King Lear, Gloucester, did I say it right? Gloucester is played by Jim Broadbent. So, I mean, there's a part of me that
he's great.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's so great. He's just not given enough to work with. So.
And I think the performance that you chose from the Ian Holm version, I think that actor, whose name escapes me, what's his name?
I don't know. We didn't write it down.
All right, we didn't write it down. I felt like as he played Gloucester, I felt like there was more of an arc. So at the beginning, he's kind of like, Lear is kind of chewing him out at the table, where are the papers? And he's just like, he's just kind of hapless. He's, but as it goes on, he becomes more and more involved as he's seeing what's happening, and
experience.
Yeah, and he just becomes really instrumental in the plot,
and again,
which is why his eyes are put out, right?
Right. There's something about his being blinded in the play. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
ultimate one. Who did you think played King Lear the best?
Which Lear did I prefer? Which actor in the role of Lear did I prefer? I preferred Anthony Hopkins.
As did I.
Oh, interesting. All right, so all three of these guys
yes,
are
they're all
extraordinary.
amazing.
Yeah.
amazing.
It's just truly extraordinary. And I mean, there are things that I love about all three of the performances.
Right, like we've been talking about, and we've tried really hard not to talk about any of these. But the scene with Ian Holm, like he carries Cordelia's body, and like just one of the things that we've heard and talked about is like by the time an actor is old enough to play King Lear, like he physically is not able to do it. It's a very physically demanding part. And I mean, King Lear he's not in every scene, but man, there's a lot there. And so the fact that Ian Holm was able to carry not Cordelia, is Victoria Hamilton. Yeah, it's a very powerful image, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The image of him.
And he's delivering lines while he's doing it.
Right. So it was very powerful. And then, like, King Lear, when we first see King Lear after he's in Dover, and I mean, my God, he's got like little flowers around his head.
Are you talking about the Ian McKellan one?
Yeah, the Ian McKellan. Did I say Ian Holm?
No, you didn't say anybody.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Ian McKellan one, when we finally get to see Lear in Dover or, on the cliffs or whatever, like, I mean, his madness is quite evident. And Ian McKellan, of course, is just a phenomenal actor. So you can't really go wrong with any of these three. For me, the thing that did it was Anthony Hopkins when, he's trying to persuade Cordelia to change her mind about what she has said as far as how much she loves him. It's like they somehow just zoom in on Anthony Hopkins and the sound. I don't know. They did something to the sound of when he delivers.
He says, better thou hadst not been born than not to have pleased me better. And he addresses it to the camera.
Right.
So it's Cordelia's point of view.
Talking about,
Cordelia's point of view, and it felt like, man, he was talking to us, like he was rejecting us,
I wish I knew where that was.
That line, well, it's right at the end of the bequeathing. His delivery of that line was, man, it had
phenomenal.
like fish hook barbs in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was scary.
It felt like you were.
The dude meant business.
He was disowning you personally.
Yeah.
Like, it was very personal. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my two line deliveries from him that just kind of took my breath away.
Uh-huh.
And then the other one was when Reagan and Goneril. It's that scene where they're trying to persuade him to
get rid of all
the knights and such together. They're sort of tag teaming him, and he has that line where he says, "I gave you all," and there's such vulnerability in the way that Anthony Hopkins says the line. Like, his voice almost breaks, and it just brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad for the dude in this moment. So I just thought, and I thought Ian Holm, so Ian McKellan, I think the best thing about his performance was that I think he did a very good job of showing Lear's kind of slide into frailty and madness.
Senility, yeah.
But the problem with McKellan's performance, if there can be a problem with it, is that as his character's cheese slides more and more off his cracker, the language becomes a little bit garbled, a little bit mumbled, a little bit hard to hear, and the language in this play is just too precious to do that with. I feel like, I mean, we need to, it's one thing to recognize that Lear knows what he's saying, or that, it's his because maybe he doesn't know what he's saying, but we need to be able to hear it and understand it. And you can't always understand what McKellan is saying because he's kind of just sort of off, and Ian Holm, as more like Anthony Hopkins, I think, in his performance, in that he has a few lines as well, like
Yes, he does.
the organs of increase, dry up, and the sterility, the way he enunciates is really intense. And that scene where Kent stands up to him at the division of estate scene, and Ian Holm like gets up on the table and like walks to the end of the table, and he's got that line where he says, "Hear me, recreant," and he's like pointing at the ground, like, you kneel, dude. You're kneeling now, man.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I had seen it before. I had seen that version 2 or 3 times in the past. But Anthony Hopkins is just, I think he might be the greatest living actor. I think I've just been a huge, huge fan of his since the early 90s. His performance in Remains Today is one of my 5 favorite performances of all time. So I just love him. And so to get to see him in the role of Lear was really, really wonderful. And he just did such a great job of kind of, sort of toggling between vulnerability and explosions. And it made him feel just incredibly unstable. And it made him feel dangerous as a character, which was cool, which was really, really cool to see. So yeah, Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. Okay. So overall, all 3 Lears. Which one is your favorite?
My favorite is the one with Ian Holm.
Of course
Yes.
it is.
Yeah, it's the one with Ian Holm.
And my favorite is the one with Ian McKellan. But the Anthony Hopkins one was just.
If it had been 20 or 30 minutes longer.
Yeah, they just cut too much from it. But I tell you, I just got so excited at the beginning of it, right? It's showing you London and this, at night and the cityscape.
And glassy surfaces.
And one of the problems that Lear and his daughters have is that he, after relinquishing his crown, he wants to keep 100 knights, which, I don't want to be on the side of Regan and Goneril, but you can see how it's like saying hey, I'm going to come and stay at your house for a month and I'm bringing 100 people with me. And of course they don't behave well, and so there's a part of me that had sympathy for them in the sense of how are you supposed to take care of 100 other people in addition when you already have a palace or a huge house with all these servants and stuff already, and you're gonna have to feed 100 extra people every meal every day. You know what I mean? But the Anthony Hopkins one, because it's a modern setting and it feels almost like England is a military state. There's just soldiers everywhere. But because it's a film, does the best job of making you feel what it would be like to have 100 extra people in your home, in your space, that what a burden he is asking his daughters to take on. And again, why does he need 100 knights when he's no longer king? But there were just so many, there were so many great settings, and this version, it was like, I felt I was in a red cinder block.
Well, no, it's stylized. It's abstract.
It was too stylized for me.
It was like being in a David Lynch movie with all those red curtains.
Maybe that's why I didn't. I agree with you. I liked, almost every scene there's a table and there's these chairs and they're everything's all kind of draped over it, and in the background there's a solid colored wall and these flames for torches for lights. And but yeah, I just got, it was cool when Ian Holm walked across the table, but that would have been cool regardless of what the table looked like. It was just too monochromatic. There were hardly any props
No.
at all in that. Whereas other ones, like the Anthony Hopkins one, you see, you see the things that Goneril owns in her house and the paintings on the wall, and I don't know, it to me it made the characters kind of feel more developed. But the Ian McKellen one, because the Anthony Hopkins one was just so stripped down, way too stripped down. I have to go with Ian McKellen.
So one of my favorite things, I will say, in the Ian McKellen version that you chose as your favorite, one of the things I loved so much in that is the scene where it's Lear and poor Tom and Kent and the Fool, I think, are out in the storm.
Oh, right.
And kind of on the moor in the storm. And then when they leave that scene, and it was true in this version, I think as well, but less so. They leave they kind of leave the setting hand in hand, and it looked to me so much
the
like
Bergman fan.
Much like the shot at the end of The Seventh Seal, where the Grim Reaper is leading all these people presumably to their death. It looked so much like that in how it was shot and staged. I feel like Trevor Nunn had to have had that in mind.
We are back to talk about Akira Kurosawa's film Ran, which is a Japanese interpretation of King Lear. And we watched this in one setting. It's a very long movie.
I'd seen it before. Kelly had.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'd never seen it before. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting and an interesting take on it. I actually, if we were picking characters from this that we liked the best, I thought the Fool character I thought was wonderful in this.
Well, and the Fool is around till the end.
Yes.
Unlike the other Lears.
Right. And unlike the play itself, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about you?
Well, it's different from. There's a lot of changes,
right,
so it's not just that it's in Japanese rather than Shakespeare's, the Elizabethan English of the original play. But there are a number of changes. Right, instead of Lear having daughters, he has sons.
Which does make more sense, you would think, if you were dividing a kingdom.
Yeah, but I think it makes it less interesting.
That definitely could be.
There's no Gloucester and Edgar and Edmund, but Gloucester's blindness is transposed onto another character,
right?
Who is the brother of one of the spouses of the crazy violent
right. He's
siblings.
the brother-in-law of one of the.
Yeah,
one of the three main brothers.
Yeah. Brother-in-law of one of the three brothers who are the sisters. This is confusing. I'm not a huge Kurosawa fan, which is
really?
I
didn't know that about you.
I haven't seen a ton of Kurosawa films. I've seen Seven Samurai, I've seen Dreams, I've seen Akiru, and this, and I think that's it.
Didn't he make one? He made one of Macbeth, right?
Yeah, which I haven't seen.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
Throne of Blood. Yeah. Okay. I like all of his films that I've seen, but I don't love any of them. But this is pretty extraordinary visually.
Yeah.
The art direction in this, these kind of big pagoda castle kind of things, and the battles that are fought in and around them, and then how they just go up in flames. I just kept thinking to myself, at one point, you see this castle burning behind the characters, and I'm like, well, they got to get it on this take, because there's no resetting the scene behind them. I mean, once it's burned, it's burned. But
well, and there's just this sort of pageantry, these vast big armies moving, and they have these. Every son has his own kind of color, if you will,
which was very helpful.
Yes, which was very helpful to understand what was going on. So red and yellow and or kind of like a gold sun or whatever, and then
the Cordelia figure was blue.
Light blue with white.
Yeah.
And I actually thought the guy who played the main lord, who's like, Lear essentially in this, I thought he was really, like, he aged so much, it seemed like, over the course of the film.
Well, a lot of that was to do, I think, with the hair and makeup design. Like his hair is, it's very sort of, dolled up and coiffed early in the film, and by the end, it's just he's like a scarecrow or something. His hair's just like he looks like Albert Einstein. It's just like wisps of white hair in all directions. But yeah, I mean, it's a good performance. Yeah, I mean, the film's full of good performances, and again, there's one particular character in this who's really a nasty piece of work, and she meets a nasty end. Kelly actually gasped when that happened, which I thought was nice.
Yeah, because like the wall behind her just suddenly turns red.
Yeah, I think I said, man, that's a lot of paint. But
and there's some real like horrific acts of violence. I also thought Lear was like, every castle he went to or whatever, I mean, every woman he encountered, like, he was talking about how he had killed all their family, and even the female character who's come to live at the first castle, as it's called in the film, like she was like, oh, my mother killed herself in this room,
yeah.
And there were a lot of images of women being used as like kind of defense to try to prevent men from shooting at them, which doesn't work, and also a lot of suicide.
Well, and they thought there was going to even be more, right? They thought that the father character, he probably committed harakiri, and he went to, but he didn't have a blade. He went to do it, but he didn't have a blade, and ended up just kind of stumbling his way out of the castle. Yeah. But it's a very good movie. I think it's more, like Kelly said, an interpretation of King Lear. It's not. I don't know. It's not an adaptation.
Have you seen any of these films that we have been talking about, or these stage adaptations of King Lear? So if you've made it this far, put a little crown with your comment, and
is there a crown?
Yes.
Is there a crown emoji?
There is a crown emoji. Okay. And so put a crown emoji in your comment if you've made it this far. But we would love to hear what you think about King Lear adaptations. Is there one we should have watched that we didn't? We would love to hear from you down below in the comment section. I think it was Team Ian Holm versus Team Ian McKellan here in this particular discussion. But yeah, we would love to know what you think. So let us know down below in the comment section. As always, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, you can leave an emoji or give this video a thumbs up. I really do appreciate that. Booktube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Thank you.